Hello, welcome to this experiment / contest / insight into VAR technology. We're going to put your judgment to the test and see how accurate drawn lines are before the answer is revealed. This was meant to be done outdoors with real humans, but you know.
There were actually a few coronavirus patients and I shook hands with everybody.
So we've got these mannequins and a Sabutio pitch, but all the same principles apply. So before we start, why are we doing this? Well, since the introduction of VAR, the technology used to judge onside and offsides, otherwise known as Hawkeye, has been very much maligned. The technology is said to be highly accurate as it calibrates with TV cameras before the game and reads the perspective of the pitch, even taking in such things as the camber of the playing field. Well, that's all well and good, but to my knowledge, they haven't actually proven this demonstrably to the public yet. So it seems like we just have to kind of trust it. But even when we see the lines being drawn live, they still look like they're being apprehensively placed by a human hand, and the results are often conflicting with our intuition. So how reliable are these lines? Take a look at this decision. Kelechi Iheanacho was awarded onside, but if I flip the lines so that Iheanacho is offside, does this look any less plausible? So let's put this to the test. Now, I should point out straight away, this will be totally unscientific. I will be using my own drawn lines to imitate Hawkeye. It'll be far less sophisticated, but it'll be interesting to see if it's more reliable than the naked eye. And finally, quickly, before we start, the badly painted red player is our attacker. The other three are defenders. Ignore the base the mannequins stand on. They won't count as a body part. And the handball will be judged by the player's short sleeves. So anything above the sleeve line is not handball and can be ruled offside. Right, here's the first one. There's 8 altogether. We'll imagine contact with the ball has been made and the frame is frozen. I'll give you roughly 15 seconds. Is the attacker in red onside or offside? So lock in your answer. Now I'm going to bring in some lines to replicate Hawkeye. As I say, the lines are very amateurish, but they're just a guide for me in the role of video assistant referee to see how they compare with the human eye. And I'm going to say the attacker's boot is offside. Now you might be thinking, hang on, I already know the answer. Well, now you'll just have to trust me. I took these photos one night, put the first angles in one folder and the reveal pictures in another, and 2 days later I genuinely couldn't remember any of these decisions when I put them on Photoshop. And I'm not being paid by Photoshop to plug them, by the way, although I am being sponsored by Toffee Crisp. Right, let's have a look at the answer. And in fact, it looks like the elbow joint to the player on the far side is keeping the attacker on. And when we look at the overhead, well, this pitch is not perfect at all with the lines. I did say this was unscientific, but I think you would have to say that's definitely onside. Did you get that? If you did, you're 1-0 up on VAR. Here's another, onside or offside? Okay, lock in your answer. So the lines I've drawn show that the heel of the right back is playing the attacker on by a hair. And let's see. And in fact, it's not even particularly close. He's almost certainly onside, and the above angle gives us the confirmation. Okay, VAR is on the scoreboard. Here's number 3. Is the attacker onside or off? And just time for me to explain why there are little objects on the side of the pitch. It's just a little landmark so that I can quickly identify one angle with the other in the edit. Simple as that, sorry. Okay, so how did you do? Let's bring up fake VAR. Okay, so I'm saying the heel of the central defender is keeping the attacker onside. What did you say? Let's have a look. And it looks like this is the case from the side, but it's not obvious. And it's still not obvious on the overhead, but I think the lines do prove that the attacker is being kept onside. It was close. How about this? Onside or off? Time's up. Let's bring in VAR or VAR. So by the finest of margins, I've gone with the attacker's foot straying offside. So let's take a look. And actually the foot has strayed by a bigger margin than I thought. So now here's a curious thing. I remember taking this at the time. The overhead suggests that the sleeve is well in front of the attacker's foot, But this just shows you how angles can trick the eye, because this shot isn't fixed perfectly overhead. It's done from slightly behind, and the arm closer to the camera appears further forward, but I can assure you this was offside. So even here, when we're trying to conclusively prove the angles, it still feels controversial, doesn't it? And indeed, following on from that, here is an angle from behind, on or off. Time's up. Let's bring VAR in here. That's just a lot easier to say. And let me explain this one. The attacker's foot is the yellow line, and I'm saying the defender's head is in front. The fullback is in front, and so is the shoulder of the nearest player. So VAR says onside. And actually, that looks offside. But look at that. It looks like we're in line, but are we? Let's have a look overhead. And I still don't know. But again, the lines are pretty conclusive, I would say. And so that is offside. And look at the player on the far side. Its shoulder is nowhere near on that angle. And I thought it was in front of the player's foot. So it just shows you. Now this one we're going to see from two angles. So here's the first one. Try and make a decision here. A few seconds. And now let's have a look at a second angle. What do you think? On or offside? So I think the heel of the right back is playing the forward on, and the side view backs that up. So two angles again. Here's the first, very difficult. But here's another angle. What do you think? On or off? Time's up. Here's VAR's call. This is really tough. I think the shoulder of the left back is playing the attacker on. And look at that, the attacker is onside, but it's not because of the left back. It's courtesy of the heel of the right back. And that completes the test, but hold on, a bonus round. No points awarded in this one because I do know the answer to this, so no VAR. On or offside, what do you reckon? Does this look familiar? It is a replica of this controversial decision in the Merseyside derby that was given offside. No VAR, what about here? Well, it's not even close in this case. The attacker is well offside, surprisingly. That's not to say Mane was, by the way, before I get any complaints. That's it. How did you do? Did you learn anything? Do you have more or less respect for the VAR process? Leave your hate in the comment section.